What's up, you all? I'm early, so I'll let people get in here. I will stay, since I was about 14 minutes early, I'll make sure I stay until 3, the full hour, because I told people I would be live at 2, not 1:45. But we will give people time to get notified to come in. Happy Taco Tuesday. I'm not having tacos today. I think I'm having chicken. So, and not chicken tacos. Hello? Okay. And I am just letting people know that I'm live. Hello, how are you all? Let's see. Okay, I am just. Okay. I got confused. Okay, I'm just notifying people that we are live. All right. People know. Hi, Gary. How are you? I'm very good. How are you doing? Hopefully, you had a nice weekend and good start to your week. I'm brokenhearted over the SCOTUS decision. We'll look into that. It's not totally over, actually. By the way, if anyone sees this monstrosity behind me, I'm getting new curtains today, but there's a window right there. And when I'm live streaming or setting up a camera, it's way too bright and I need to get new blinds or new curtains, I'm sorry. So in the meantime, there's a blanket and it looks a little raggedy, but I promise I'm getting new blinds. New curtains. Why do I keep saying blinds? There are blinds. I need curtains on top of the blinds. So there's not too much light coming in. Okay, I'll give it about another minute and then we'll go ahead and get started. I live in Texas and it's really affecting the people here tremendously. So I actually have a question about that. So here's my question. I guess we can go ahead and chit chat and then I'll really get started. We'll let people come in. Here is my question. I don't It's just the stories every day are getting more and more ridiculous. The things that are happening, and I can go through a few of the headlines with you. The stories are getting more and more ridiculous. The situations are getting more and more ridiculous. This is the most chaotic, the most irresponsible, the most blatantly corrupt thing that I've ever seen. And I know there is corruption, but most people hide it. It's not out into the open and it's not done onto the people of that land and the way that this is being done. So where are all of the people standing up? Where are all the whistleblowers within Border Patrol, within the National Guard? Where are all the men of Texas standing up and saying we're not taking this? I don't understand. Evil prevails when good men stand aside and do nothing. And this isn't directed at you, obviously, just in general. Evil prevails when good men sit and do nothing. And so many good men are sitting and doing nothing. And the reason our government does this to us, the reason they're so corrupt is because we've allowed them. Yes, they're the first bad ones, but we have allowed it. We are so distracted. What are all of us doing? And by the way, I love football, I love beer, but what are all of us doing every single Sunday? We're drinking beer and watching football. And again, I'm not directing it at you all watching this, just in general. Just in general. We're all distracted. We care about ourselves, our families, our jobs, which are good things, but we don't care about what's happening to our community and our country. We have no idea what's happening. That's why they get away with it, because most of us have no idea. That's why we can have this atrocity happening. We can have this invasion happening on our border, and they can say our border is secure because there's a large number of people who, even though the truth is there, it's everywhere. All you have to do is open your eyes and ask a question or two. The truth is everywhere. Yet they get away with saying that because they know that there is a large portion of people, they'll hear that and they'll be like, yeah, it's secure. What are you talking about? And then when someone like me comes along, if you go down there and try to stop it, you are the bad guy. I understand that, but the majority of Americans do not want an open border. The majority of the people do not want an open border. So again, that's what I'm saying. Like, evil prevails when good men do nothing. That's the optic right now, that you're going to be the bad guy if you do anything. Well, what if everybody's the bad guy? Not everyone is going to be the bad guy. Pretty soon it's going to be clear that the majority are not the bad guy. And it's so disheartening. It's disheartening because I don't mean to start out on such a somber and negative footing, and I promise it won't be somber and negative. But, I used to think that, and it's been this issue and solely this issue because so many people are involved. I used to think that there were corrupt people. Obviously, there are evil people, there are corrupt people in the world, but most people are good. Most people generally are good, and most people generally will do the right thing. I don't believe that anymore. I really don't. I believe that, and I'm going to I don't mean to freak anyone out. I'm going to get just a tiny bit spiritual because I was listening to a really interesting podcast. And I know I'm going really dark, but I promise I'm going to bring it back around and it'll come back to the light because I don't want to leave you with darkness. That's not why I have this channel. That's not why I say the things I say. I want to help. I want to bring positive change. But what I've learned is that most people, they only care about themselves. Most people, they want to make their money, they want to go home, they want to put their head in the sands. Most people are distracted. Most people are victims to their own vices, whether it's alcohol, marijuana, television, porn, I don't know, celebrity obsession, overconsumption, beauty obsession. Yeah, most people do nothing. And I was listening to, I've been really fascinated. I've been listening to a lot of Exorcist recently. So I've been reading my Bible, going through it from front to back for the first time ever. I'm not that far along, but I've been really carefully reading it. By the way, I do have another YouTube channel where that's what I'm doing. I'm reading the Bible. It's Sarah Reads the Bible. You can search Sarah Sansoni Reads the Bible if you want to subscribe. I put out new videos. I'm trying to get regular new videos about every day where we're just going through and reading the Bible, little sections at a time. And it's been one of my favorite things, but it's been eye-opening as well, very eye-opening. And I've been listening to a lot of sort of religious podcasts and Christian podcasts, Catholic podcasts. I've been listening to a lot of exorcists, and the reason I find them interesting is because they have an interesting perspective on evil. And sometimes I think you know how to fight people when you understand evil. There is this famous thing that Donald Trump slept with the Mein Kampf on his nightstand. And that's not because he was trying to be that person. It's because you can fight evil better when you understand it, when you know your enemy and you know how they try to attack you. Anyway, I was listening to a podcast this morning. It was two exorcists and a priest, I think. And it's interesting to listen to them talk because even they say we are in the midst of a spiritual warfare. The same thing you'll hear Republicans and conservatives talk about. We are in the midst of a spiritual warfare. There is evil right now, and it is coming and it is rearing its teeth and it is saying hello. But what they said, listen, I don't know if you're religious or not, and if you're not, just take the spirituality part of it. But even if you're not religious, I think that you feel there's something going on. There's something bigger underneath that is going on that's been unleashed. And it was so interesting to hear them talk. So that's what they were talking about. There's this evil right now, and it seems like it's just more than it has been for a really long time. When did this happen? Why isn't it happening? And how can we step forward? And they were saying that a lot of things started happening around October of 2019. And then when we had the pandemic and all of that, it really opened the door for a lot of tyranny and a lot of evil to come out. And evil loves fear. And during that time, we all had a lot of fear about the future. Elections were coming up, the pandemic, finances. So fear opens the door for evil to come in and take over. It makes people angry, anxious. It makes them get in fights, makes them turn to their vices, all of that stuff. So that's a lot of it. But what they said, which I found interesting and I love, is they said, what you need to understand, and this is for the people that are more religious, that are God fearing, God already won. Jesus won a long time ago. God won a long time ago. So God already won. But sometimes he will let he will let the devil come out and play when people have turned their back on God so much. So it's not just that it's like an evil revenge. He will take his grace away. He says, okay, you're not going to live by my commandments. You're going to live a life of sin. You're going to turn your back on me. Then you don't get my grace. And evil kind of comes out and prevails. That doesn't mean they're going to win, but sometimes people need to understand a little bit of evil to turn to the good. Because sometimes it's when you're so comfortable and everything is going right. You usually turn to God in prayer when you really need him, when things are going wrong. And that's what they said about the world. They said sometimes God takes his grace away a little bit, lets the evil run around so you can see it. And I've always said that about Donald Trump in the election. I'm not trying to equate him with religion. That's not what I'm doing. But what I mean is, you have all of these liberals, you have all of these radical leftist liberals that want all of these radical leftist policies: open borders, defund the police, abolish prisons, universal basic, all this stuff, socialism, communism, all this stuff. And we as a society have been so distracted for so long. We have been victim to our vices and victim to our sins and oppressed by our own sins and our own things, that I think that, the radical leftists. I'm sorry, I just started rambling. I digress. The salt must flow. Possession is rampant in prisons. I truly believe that. I watched a series about a prison priest and he vows on it. Oh my gosh. I can totally see that. I can totally see that that's an area where demonic oppression, where evil just it prevails whenever you open a door. And it's interesting too, because they were saying evil doesn't just attack you out of nowhere. You have to invite it in. You have to open the door, and you open the door through your vices and sinning and all of that stuff that you're not supposed to be doing. That's when you open the door for evil energy, whatever you want to call it, demonic, devil, comes into your life. So you open that door. The radical leftists. I honestly felt like I was like, these radical leftists, they are so radical. If Donald Trump was elected in 2020, they would still be the same. No one would be waking up. It would still be, we hate Trump. He's so evil. They almost needed to get what they asked for. That's what I thought. They needed to see what they wanted. They needed the reality of their policies, the things that they are pushing, to understand just how bad it is, that this isn't going to work. That maybe Trump wasn't so bad after all. And I'm using Trump as an example. That could be anyone that had the same positions as he did and did what he did. But it's just really interesting to be in the times that we are in right now, and to listen to a lot of these religious leaders also give their opinions on what is happening right now in our country and our world. It's not just our country. What was I going to say? Oh, it's not just our country. So this year in 2024, about half of the entire world has really big elections coming up. 50 countries have big elections coming up, obviously including us. So this is a big year for our entire world, and I think a lot of people are feeling it. But I think that's what's happening on our border. It's evil. It's evil, it's corruption, and it's disheartening to think how many people are involved, whether it's the charities, the NGOs, the National Guard, the Border Patrol, the people, the pilots, the bus drivers, the taxi drivers, the hotel staff, the contractor, like all of these people involved. And all they care about is their paycheck. They don't care that this is destroying the country. They don't care that it's not helping even the people that are coming over the border. Um, Here's this video. I've showed it to you guys before.
Mirando a Estados Unidos.
So you're going to have to read the captions. She's speaking in Spanish, but listen to what she says. This is a woman from Venezuela, and now she's living at the Roosevelt Hotel. This was about a month ago, so I don't know where she is now. But just read what she says, and if anyone's just listening, I'll tell you what she says when this is done.
Como que también todo es, ay, que todos están emigrando a Estados Unidos, que hay oportunidades allá. Y bueno, le enviamos lo que tenemos y nos vinimos.
¿Cómo fue el viaje por aquí?
Fue fuerte el camino, muchas horas, que nos querían secuestrar, que nos querían robar. Unas personas todas vestidas de negro nos querían subir a una camioneta. Nos tuvimos que esconder, que es muy peligroso, muy peligroso. Mi hijo se cayó del tren, miren, ahí tiene su marca.
Oh, wow. ¿Cómo se siente ahora?
Sea bien, pero algún...
Okay, so far she was just talking about the trek. So she came from Venezuela with her 2 small children. She sold everything that she had to come over the border. The trek was really terrifying. She said they almost got kidnapped. There were some really scary men. One of her, they tried to lure her away. One of her children, who looks about 4 or 5, 3 maybe. I don't know. I'm really bad with children ages. He has a mark on his face because he fell off a train. So they had a terrible experience getting here. And I'm going to start it again. So the interviewer says, well, how are things now? So that's where we're starting.
Algunas partes no tan bien.
¿Por qué?
Al menos donde yo vivo no es bien. Mucha delincuencia, mucha droga. Y no me gusta para mis hijos, porque salgo y eso es lo que ellos ven. Vengo huyendo de una cosa que es así y lo voy a traer aquí. Igual ha sido muy fuerte porque donde nos encontramos trabajo y solo depender de alguien es difícil. No es lo que esperábamos, de verdad. Entonces vamos a intentar otra vez en otro lugar a ver cómo nos va, porque si no resulta, prefiero que me devuelvan a mi país donde no estoy sola, porque aquí sola no es fuerte.
Yeah, so she basically said, hi, Kelly. She basically said that, so we left off on the interview when the interviewer was saying, how are things here? And she said, well, it's okay, but it's not really that great. It's not safe here in the hotel she's staying at. A lot of the bad people from Venezuela also came over here. So she's saying, I'm dealing with a lot of the same problems that I was trying to escape. It's not what she thought. She can't leave her kids alone. I don't know why she's leaving her kids alone anyway. Did you see how little they were? Okay, so that's odd. Anywho, she said she can't leave her kids alone. They have to rely on other people. They have no work, no money, and she's going to try a different city. And if that doesn't work, she's going to go back to Venezuela. So that, first of all, that tells me that she's not a legitimate asylum seeker. If, well, I don't really like it here very much, so, or I'm just going to go back home. It's not what I thought. Another thing is, a lot of those bad people are just coming up too. I also heard from another Venezuelan immigrant that Venezuela is essentially a ghost town right now because so many people are coming up. So now you have migrants that came here saying they're escaping these bad things and then saying the bad things that they're escaping are now here. So now they want to go back. You have migrants in Chicago saying the American dream is not for us. It's dead. You have overcrowded shelters in Chicago and New York. You have migrants committing crimes. A 5-year-old passed away in a shelter in Chicago. So not only is it not good for us as a nation, it's not good for a lot of the people coming over here. It's not good for the countries they're leaving. Because what happens when your whole working class leaves? Because that's who's coming. They're working age, working class, healthy people. It's not the sick and the elderly and the dying, what our Statue of Liberty says, but that's what everyone will gaslight you to believe. They will gaslight you to believe this is just like Ellis Island. No, it isn't. I don't know how to say that. No, it isn't. I watched an hour-long documentary where this kid went down to the border. It was actually a really good documentary. They went undercover. They got a lot of really good footage and a lot of good information, but he went on this spiel about how his great grandparents immigrated from Ireland, and it was like the same thing. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. You needed a sponsor, a health screening, you needed a job prospect, and there was no welfare state. So taxpayers were not paying for you to come here. You weren't taking resources from city agencies to pay for you. You had to prove that you were self-sufficient. And if you weren't, there was no backup plan. So no, it was very different. And also, they weren't being smuggled in by cartel, okay? Smugglers weren't hustling them for $9,000 in their entire life savings. Yeah, young single men. Great. That's awesome. Let's just import millions of young single working age men with no girlfriends, no job, entitled. They're entitled. Okay, so anyway, the Supreme Court decision yesterday, 5-4, and one of the people that voted to, so essentially what was happening is the Texas National Guard have a plan to put up razor wire to prevent people from coming into Texas, and the Biden administration sued them, saying that they can't put that up, that their Border Patrol agents should be allowed to take it down. Well, the wire was actually working. It was actually working a little bit. So the Biden admin sued. It went to the Supreme Court. Actually, let me back up a little bit because that gets a little bit confusing. So there's two different things going on. It's not totally over yet. So they sued, and the Supreme Court said, while the litigation is happening, the litigation isn't over yet. They're still in litigation for that original lawsuit. But this thing was, while that lawsuit is ongoing, they are allowing Border Patrol to cut the razor wire. So it's not necessarily forever. We don't know the final decision, but while litigation is happening, they're going to allow them to go back in and to cut it. So that's essentially what's happening. So it's not completely over yet, but it was really concerning to see two conservative-leaning Supreme Court justices allow Texas to go in and cut the razor wire. And one of my favorite people, Peter Doocy, brought this up in the press briefing today. And the answers of Karine Jean-Pierre and Anthony Blinken just tell you everything you need to know about their intentions and about their agenda. Because they basically just say it out loud. I'm not sure if they're aware that they said it or if they intended to say it, but they very much did. Hi, Johnny. Johnny says, a lot of the ones coming to work for the cartel terrorists are getting in more drugs than ever before. Blood is on the Biden administration hands. Of course they are. Of course they are. Why wouldn't they? I don't even need evidence to tell you. Of course that's happening. Why wouldn't it happen? Our country is one of the number one targets for any kind of attacks. We're the big guy. We're the prom queen. Everyone wants to bring us down. Why wouldn't they? And the director of Homeland Security is just Secretary of Homeland Security. Homeland Security. You're supposed to secure the homeland. And they are the ones that are against us. It's just, I've never seen anything like this. Ever. All right, so here's Peter Doocy.
Does it work for the border?
Okay, now they're specifically talking about this Supreme Court ruling with the razor wire. Oh, also, the sanctuary cities, Chicago, Denver, New York, they were actually seeing a bit of a decrease in migrants coming in over the border. And I wonder if that's what Texas is doing. So I wonder if we'll see what happens. If there's going to be some sort of showdown with Texas National Guard and Border Patrol.
Does razor wire work?
So Peter Doocy said, does razor wire work? Hold on. It's funny.
Does razor wire work?
Does razor wire work for what? Does it work for the Border Patrol to allow them to have the access they need to be able to better process people that are trying to get across the border? I don't think so, and that's why we asked for it to be removed.
See, he just said it. He just said exactly, because it's preventing them from allowing more people in. It's preventing them from doing what they want to do. They want to let more people in. Now, think about how sick this is. Seriously, think about how sick this is. You have shelters all over the place that are overrun. You have migrants sleeping on the street in the cold. You have children dying, people getting stabbed, people getting arrested, committing crimes. And they want more people to come in. We can't even care for the people that we have right now. You have Chicago is breaking down. New York City is breaking down. Denver is breaking down. Why on earth would anyone in their right mind want more people? Because this is clear corruption. That's the only answer. Okay, here's Peter
So
Pan.
the Border Patrol.
Why are you guys making it easier for people to enter the country illegally?
I don't believe we are. Why do you think we are?
Well, you guys sued to cut razor wire that was put in place by Texas officials.
So
and
that the
By the way, I love Peter Doocy. He cracks me up. He's one of my favorites.
Border Patrol could actually do their jobs, but keep going.
well, you won in court, so now what? The Border Patrol Union president is saying the Supreme Court's decision is going to undoubtedly encourage more illegal immigration. Do you guys know better than the Border Patrol Union?
The Border Patrol needed access, and that's why we sued to get rid of that razor wire, so that they could do their jobs. And you know what would also help them do their jobs, Peter? More Border Patrol agents. There's an idea. And if you go back to the supplemental request that we put in, there's money in there for some 1,300 additional Border Patrol agents. We want to help them do their jobs. We want to give them more resources. And the answer we keep getting back from House Republicans is no, no, no.
Does razor wire work?
Does razor wire work for what? Does it work for the Border Patrol to allow them to have the access they need to be able to better process people that are trying to get across the border? I don't think so,
There it
and
is
that's
again.
why we asked for it to be removed.
Why are you guys making it
Because the razor wire was making it harder for them to process more people that have no business here. See, he just said it. That's why they don't want the razor wire up. They want more people. They want more people to come in. That's what this is about. And they don't care. They clearly do not care how bad the conditions are to the people coming in. And they clearly do not care how bad the conditions are to the people that are already in these cities. They don't care. How do I know that? Because while they are surging our border, they just admitted it. They just admitted it. They want more people in. They don't care about the fentanyl. They don't care about the cartel, the crime, the terrorists. They don't care about any of that. That to them, this is collateral damage. Because it's not about what happens. We're about getting to the end goal. Whatever happens on the way there just happens. We're focused on the end goal. That's what they're focused on. That's what they're telling you. Why? They're denying federal funds to all these cities that are imploding, yet at the same time they're surging the border. How messed up. I mean, it's shocking. I've been covering this every single day for the past 3.5 years. but it's still shocking. I have no words. I bet Ducey wanted to smack the crap out of him. You know why I love Ducey? Because he's just the way that he asks his questions. He's the only one that can do this, I feel like. I don't think I would be able to keep my cool the way he does. It's the way that he asks the questions. It's funny that you say, I bet Ducey wanted to smack the crap out of him. You know, Johnny said that, Johnny Davis. But how much do you think that Anthony Blinken wants to slap the crap out of Peter Ducey? Sometimes I think, oh man, I just love it. Because Peter himself has kind of a punchable face, but in the best way. So, yes, I'm sure Peter did want to smack him, but I wonder if when he's asking these questions, if inside their head they're like, you, oh. You know he gets under their skin, which is really funny. Yeah, he's fun to watch. Okay, now here's Karine Jean-Pierre being asked similar questions. And again, she says what the intentions are. It's not a conspiracy theory anymore, folks. They're telling you what they're doing.
We are certainly.
Let's go to the beginning.
Specifics on what the border security is going to do and how they're going to do it. Look, we are certainly glad that the Supreme Court made the decision to vacate the injunction that prevented border security to actually do their jobs, to do humanitarian work, to actually enforce laws, and it got in the way. And what was put forward, that what Texas was doing, the governor was doing, was actually ineffective. And that's something that we have to remember. It was ineffective. I don't have the...
It was ineffective because they want more people. Wait, where did she say it? Let's
specifics on what the border security is going to do and how they're going to do it. Look, we are certainly glad that the Supreme Court made the decision to vacate the injunction that prevented border security to actually do their jobs, to do humanitarian work, to actually enforce laws, and it got in the way. And what was put forward, that what Texas was doing, the governor was doing, was actually ineffective. And that's something that we have to remember. It was
Yeah, it's not working according to their plan. It's ineffective to their plan. It was actually effective with getting the numbers down of people that are crossing. So Kelly brought up fentanyl. I made a video about this earlier. Is it raining? That makes me very upset. It's raining and I really wanted to go to the park today and walk around. Maybe it's going to be very muddy. I'm so mad. Darn you, Mother Nature. Anywho. We were talking about fentanyl. Well, I don't know if you guys watch Pawn Stars. I made a video about this earlier today, if you look on my page. But Pawn Stars, Rick Harrison, his son just passed away from an overdose, and he called out the border. So Rick Harrison, who is best known for his work on the History Channel's hit reality series Pawn Stars, blames the border crisis for the recent death of his son, Adam. Harrison told the New York Post that Adam, who is 39 years old, died from a fentanyl overdose. Fentanyl deaths are reportedly on the rise nationwide, and the influx of the drug can be traced back to illegal drug trafficking from other countries. This is a direct quote from Rick Harrison. He said, "Yes, I can confirm Adam died from a fentanyl overdose. The fentanyl crisis in this country must be taken more seriously. It seems it's just flowing over the borders and nothing is being done about it. We must do better." Harrison's rep confirmed that Adam died last week in Las Vegas. "You always be in my heart. I love you." Harrison shared on Instagram alongside a photo of himself and his son together. It's really sad. I don't know anyone personally. I know I shouldn't mess with Mother Nature. I don't know anyone that passed away personally, but there's a lot of people, a lot of podcasters that I follow online who I just listen to them one day and, everything's fine. They're the coolest guys and then happiest guys, great shows. And then one day they come on air and they give this horrible news that one of their children passed away from an overdose. And they're not even calling all of these overdoses anymore because a lot of times these kids, not even kids, they're adults, obviously, but a lot of times they're taking these pills thinking it might just be a Percocet or a Xanax and it's laced with fentanyl. And they think they're taking just one pill to take the edge off a little bit when in reality, it's a lethal dose of fentanyl and they pass away. And so the parents are now calling this a poisoning. And Kelly is right too. Under the Biden administration, we're seeing 100,000 deaths a year. Kelly says over 10,000 people a year are trafficked through the southern border. And there are countless amounts of unaccompanied minors. And the United States is the biggest consumer of trafficking. I have a few more things I wanted to read you. Let's go to Bill Melugin. Bill Melugin, Fox News. His main assignment essentially is the border. So, first of all, I want to read you Greg Abbott's statement on the Supreme Court decision. And he says, this is not over. Texas's razor wire is an effective deterrent to the illegal crossings Biden encourages. I will continue to defend Texas's constitutional authority to secure our border and prevent the Biden admin from destroying our property. Now here is Ken Paxton. He's the Attorney General in Texas. He says, the Supreme Court's temporary order allows Biden to continue his legal effort to aid the foreign invasion of America. The destruction of Texas border barriers will not help enforce the law or keep American citizens safe. The fight is not over, and I look forward to defending our state's sovereignty. So again, they did say this is temporary, which is good news. So it's not officially over yet. And then this is what Bill Melugin said about the ruling. He said, the Supreme Court ruled that the Biden administration can resume removal of the razor wire installed by the state of Texas along the border near Eagle Pass, at least while litigation is ongoing. Thomas, Alito, Gorsuch, and Kavanaugh all dissented. Roberts and Barrett sided with left-leaning justices to rule in admin's favor and allow Border Patrol to remove the razor wire. The majority of the razor wire is deployed in the Shelby Park area of Eagle Pass, city-owned property that the state of Texas recently seized control of with armed soldiers and kicked the federal government out. In order to remove the wire, Texas has to allow Border Patrol back in. If they refuse, what happens? This is potentially setting up a significant state versus federal showdown if push comes to shove. Now, what's also interesting, what's very interesting, is the Border Patrol Union. The union of the Border Patrol also had a statement, and they are not happy with the agreement. This is the Border Patrol statement. The Supreme Court's decision today is going to undoubtedly encourage more illegal immigration. Unfortunately, this means Border Patrol agents are going to be tied up dealing with give-ups rather than going after the criminal elements that constantly cross our borders illegally. The administration, no doubt, will say this is a win for border security, but if they sought rank-and-file input, they would be told this to do the exact opposite. Agents support what Texas was trying to accomplish in the absence of true border security policies from this administration. So even the Border Patrol Union doesn't agree with this decision. Wild. Wild. Now, this is actually a statement that Border Patrol Union sent directly to Fox News. So this is a bit of a different one. We respectfully express our concern regarding the impact of the Supreme Court's decision today. It is our humble belief that this ruling may inadvertently encourage more illegal immigration. As a result, our dedicated Border Patrol agents may find themselves occupied with handling individuals who voluntarily surrender rather than focusing on apprehending the criminal elements that persistently cross our borders unlawfully. While the administration may perceive this as a victory for border security, we believe that seeking input from our fellow agents would reveal that this decision could have the opposite effect. We stand in support of Texas's efforts to address the lack of comprehensive border security policies from this administration. I am glad I'm glad that they brought up that when agents are tied up with handovers, so those are people that come over illegally and they turn themselves in automatically to Border Patrol. And the reason they do that, you would think in a sane country that actually had border security, they would actually try to run from border patrol. They don't. They want to get apprehended because then they get put in a facility. They're given a court date that could be several years from now, and then they are just released into the interior of the United States, anywhere they want to go. They will have a bus ticket or a plane ticket paid for, and they are now in. But what happens when Border Patrol agents are busy processing people, they're not catching the bad guys. And sometimes the bad guys now are slipping through their fingers. So they were saying a while back that they are so overrun with people coming over to our border that they're not able to do the types of checks and the interviews that they usually would be able to do. And those would indicate signs that they need to deport the person. For instance, checking tattoos. Are you in a gang? Asking certain questions, looking at criminal history, contacting the country they come from. Those are all things we used to do to make sure bad people are not coming into our country. And now we're not able to do that as much. And I'm going to read you an example of that. So a mom, the mother of a 20-year-old who was murdered by an MS-13 gang member who came over our border illegally, is suing the Biden administration. I made a video about this also. If you didn't see it, I'll read it a little bit right now. So a heartbroken mother whose daughter was allegedly raped and murdered by a teenage MS-13 gang member from El Salvador has filed a lawsuit against the federal government for playing Russian roulette with our lives, accusing agents of failing to stop the suspect at the border. This story is crazy because this individual was actually in custody for several days and it just slipped past everybody. Tammy Nobles, the mother of a 20-year-old Kayla Hamilton, who was autistic, argues in her $100 million lawsuit that both the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Health and Human Services failed her daughter by allowing the unidentified migrant into the country without confirming his identity. Nobles and another grieving mother testified on Thursday in front of the House panel conducting an impeachment inquiry into Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, whom they accuse of not enforcing federal immigration laws. For me, this is not a political issue. This is a safety issue for everyone living in the United States. This could have been anyone's daughter. I don't want any other parent to live through the nightmare that I am living. I am her voice, and now I am going to fight with everything I have to get her story told and to bring awareness to the issue at the border. 2 days later, she and her lawyer repeated her claims in an interview with News Nation as they publicized their lawsuit. Nobody at the border did their job and checked his background. If the feds had properly screened the suspect, even just by checking his tattoos, they would have realized that he was a member of the gang, disqualifying him from entry into the United States. In that case, Nobles claimed, her daughter would still be alive. I want everyone to know what's going on the border. I had no clue what was going on before my daughter was brutally murdered and raped, but I do now. And I have found that the story is just so mind-boggling how nobody at the border did their job and checked his background. All they had to do was make one phone call to El Salvador to know that he was an MS-13 gang member on the list. Her daughter was raped and strangled inside her Frederick, Maryland trailer on July 27, 2022. She had been living with the suspect who allegedly sublet the trailer from another undocumented migrant. Authorities were finally able to nab him in January of 2023 after comparing his DNA to the evidence from the crime scene. He was charged with first-degree murder as well as rape and robbery and is being held without bail before his trial, slated for June 28th. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement later confirmed the suspect, a 17-year-old El Salvador native, was listed as a member of Mara Salvatrucha MS-13. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh. That's a really serious. But Nobles and her attorney, Brian Claypool, said the teen should have never been let in the country in the first place. We're bringing this lawsuit because we're tired of being held hostage in our own country. We are tired of DHS playing Russian roulette with our lives and with Kayla's life. That's why we brought the case. We are alleging that 2 federal agencies catastrophically failed Kayla, and they are failing everybody. This could happen anywhere to anyone. The DHS just needs to be held accountable. All they had to do was follow their own protocol, lift the t-shirt of the 16-year-old young man that was trying to enter the border, and they would have seen a gang-related tattoo. And guess what? That would have disqualified him from entering this country. He should have been sent back that very second to El Salvador. And you know what's crazy? El Salvador actually has a really good president right now. They would be very cooperative of this. El Salvador right now has an excellent president, and they would totally cooperate. This would be one of the easiest countries to get this kid back to. Claypool continued to argue that all they had to do was pick up the phone, make one phone call, and guess what? On the list in El Salvador was this young man because he was arrested in July of 2020 for being involved in an illicit MS-13 gang. He would have been disqualified again for entering the country. Claypool also argues that the Department of Health and Human Services was responsible for putting the suspect in a holding facility for a couple of days and then making a phone call and confirming that this young man had what's called a verified sponsor, a relative, a known. Even though DHS let him in, he still can't get in the U.S. unless he's going to have a known relative. Well, they blew that too. 3 times they blew it. 3 times. They go on to say, this is the lawyer, by the way, repping the mom. They go on to say, and they are going to pay the price because he runs away. By the way, after going to his alleged verified sponsor, and then it gets even worse when the suspect ended up at this trailer home as a roommate with lovely Kayla that was leased out by another illegal immigrant. So we are done with this, he said. The federal government has blood on its hands. They owed us a duty to protect Kayla and others in the country, and we are going to bring change through this lawsuit. In a statement to the Post, a rep for the Department of Homeland Security said, "Our hearts go out to Ms. Hamilton's family. The men and women of DHS take their responsibility to secure our homeland very seriously." Oh, really? No, you don't. Stop lying. A rep for the Department of Health and Human Services also said the agency is clearly saddened by the tragic loss and our heart goes out to the family. Republicans on the House Judiciary Committee have launched a probe into Kayla's rape and murder as they criticize the Biden admin's open border policy. The Biden administration, this is what the committee concluded, the Biden administration's open borders policies have created vulnerabilities. The criminal aliens and gang members exploit the deterrent of American citizens. The sad fact is, Homeland Security and Secretary Mayorkas and the Biden administration have failed to implement basic screening and vetting measures, such as checking the law enforcement officials in an alien's home country, to ensure that those entering the U.S. are not dangerous criminals or known gang members. So, I also cannot stand Mayorkas. I think that he's evil. So that is another thing that happens when you have so many people coming over the border at once. You're not able to do those proper checks like you used to be able to do. Now, all of a sudden, it's about speed. Our facilities are filling up. We need to get people through. We need to get them through. We need to process them. So they're not doing those checks that they used to do. And it's really sad because this one would have been an easy one. This one's easy. They knew who he was. He had tattoos, and he's from El Salvador. This one was so easy. He should have never been in this country. And this is what happens. And this is what the criminal element that's allowing themselves into the country know. They know that border agents are going to be so overrun with all these asylum seekers that they can just sneak criminals on through, or they can sneak them through with them, and they'll get processed quickly and released into the interior if they're caught. We don't even know how many gotaways there are. Oh, there was somebody brought up the $3,000 and free cell phone. Oh, okay. Okay, got an update. So this is from Charlie Kirk. We like Charlie Kirk, right? I like Charlie Kirk a lot. My mom loves Charlie Kirk. His big head. Okay, I live close to an airport, and sometimes you hear a really big plane. I don't live that close to it, but close enough where you can, if it's a big plane, you can hear them start to descend. And sometimes you feel like they're over your house, and you're just like, please don't fall out of the sky. Just please don't fall out of the sky. I'll be in my bed and almost off to a deep, peaceful slumber, which I desperately need. And all of a sudden, I hear a freaking, I don't know, the blimpy blimp, a giant something is flying over my house, and I'm just like, please don't let it fall. Please, I just want to go to sleep. Thank you so much for the super chat, Kelly. Sarah, as an ex-member of the Sarah, as an ex-member of the Bloods, do you miss California? And can we see Princess Eva before you go? Yeah, I'll get Eva. She's sleeping. She's got a new place on the couch, and she's sleeping. Can I just tell you something? This is kind of gross, but it's actually really funny. I forgot that she likes this, but I was home alone, so I went to use the potty, number one, and I had the bathroom door open when I was using the potty. And I forgot that Eva loves when you flush the toilet. She loves that. She will run to the toilet if you flush it and get up by the toilet and watch the water go down. She absolutely loves it. And she did that to me today. But she's sleeping. She has a little place in the living room, so I try not to bother her, but I'll get her before I go. Thank you for the super chat. Do I miss California? Yeah. I still go there. And I'll probably go back. I don't know if in February, I'll probably go back for a little bit, either in February or March to visit. I can't bring myself to move back there at the moment. I obviously still have ties there. No, don't wake her. Okay. I'm actually glad you left me off the hook because I kind of didn't want to wake her. Thank you again for the super chat. Yeah, I didn't want to wake her. So next time I'll make sure she's in the room, so that way I can show her to you. I miss California. So I frequent there, a little bit. I'll probably be going back for a few weeks in either February or March. But I do miss it. I miss the beach. I miss the mountains. There are so many things that I miss about it. And it just really upsets me. It really does. It really upsets me just that horrible people run the state. I was just watching a documentary last night, and the people in the documentary lived in California, and it made me miss it. It's beautiful. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful if you drive through, and there's still a lot of amazing parts, but it really makes me so upset and saddened what has happened to that state. And I hope it turns around. But unfortunately, there's so many people in California. There's so many people in our country that they just have their heads completely in the sand. And they just vote, oh, it's a Democrat, I'll vote Democrat. Oh, Republican, I'll vote Republican. They have no idea what's going on. And California it's a one-party state. The people that run it are just, oh, I disappeared. Okay, I'm back. I disappeared and now I'm back. The people that run it are just they're so out of touch, and they're loyal to the radical activists, to the special interest, all of it. And Gavin Newsom is not a leader. I pray that he is never president. I really do. I can't even imagine. California would be the entire United States of America. They're too ridiculous. I was trying to be positive. It won't change until all turn to Christ, the Savior. Oh, I was going to read you. So it looks like Texas is responding. So Charlie Kirk just put a video up, and he says, breaking news. The Texas National Guard responds to the Supreme Court's order to remove the razor wire in Eagle Pass by installing even more. Governor Abbott has said Texas will not back down as it defends its border. This might get interesting. You know what? I will tell you though. So, Biden's student loan forgiveness, that went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said, Biden, you can't do this. And guess what? He did it anyway. So some people were saying maybe he should just keep the razor wire up anyway. And it looks like that's what he's doing. Oh, heck no. James, that's not even funny. James Hicks thinks he's a comedian. Not even funny, James. I've got Newsom Lightfoot 2024 bingo card. Wait a second. Wait, okay, Newsom Lightfoot, and then I think our Secretary of Homeland Security should be Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago. Oh. You can't really see it. Sorry, you all. If you're not listening, if you're watching, that's Texas putting more razor wire up. Good for them. That was a BS ruling. I always try to play devil's advocate in situations like this. I'm like, okay, Amy Coney Barrett, I know that she is a constitutionalist. She's always going to rule in favor of the Constitution, or so I thought. But I don't know. I don't know why she made her decision. I haven't looked at that yet. Or Roberts. So I was thinking to myself, I wonder if there's something in there, if there's some sort of language or something that she's going by. I would be really curious to know the exact reason why they came to these decisions. That's what I would like to know. Who would you like to be the vice president of Trump? I don't know. People have been speculating. Some people are saying they know who it is. I have no idea. I don't think Tulsi, Ben Carson, I think is a possibility. People have thrown out Kristi Noem. I don't think it's Sarah Huckabee Sanders. I don't even think she wants to be vice president. Who else? Ben Carson. Oh, Vivek. It could be Vivek. Ben Carson, Vivek. I kind of don't think it's going to be a female. I don't know who it would be. I don't think it's going to be Kristi Noem. Vivek. So we have a Vivek. I would love that. I would love to see Vivek somewhere in the cabinet. I think he would be an excellent vice president. He really knows how to put people in their places. He knows how to get younger people on board. He has that appeal. Oh, the blonde girl used to be the press secretary, Kayleigh McEnany. I don't see her. I like her a lot though, but I don't know. Amy Coney Barrett is smart. I think they are setting up a victory using the long game. That's interesting. That's why, see, I really would. Sorry, I didn't mean to put you up there, Kelly. I mean, you can stay for a minute. Amy Coney Barrett is smart. I think they are setting up victory using the long game. You could be right. That's why I would be really curious to know what the reasoning is behind this. And keep in mind, if this isn't the final decision on this case as a whole, it's a temporary decision during litigation. So I'm curious as to what the reasoning is for this decision. So that'll be really interesting. That's actually, I want to try to find, if I can find that today. Johnny says Kayleigh would actually be awesome. Makes our current speaker look so incompetent. Oh yeah, Kayleigh was so fun to watch in the press room. I think I had more fun watching her in the press room than anyone ever. Her and her freaking, why do I keep saying freaking? Stop it. Her and her, that's not cute. Her and her clipbook. No, her binder. Her and her binder would come in and just put everyone in their place. I loved it. Somebody told me that I said freaking a lot. She was very freaking smart. Somebody told me, I think it was yesterday or the day before, that I said freaking a lot. And I thought to myself, no, I don't. But ever since they said that, I can't stop saying it. So they cursed me. I was gonna. Oh, somebody brought up. So this is also from Charlie Kirk. So this story is in the New York Post. Okay, this is Todd Bensman. He's also a big journalist who is on the border. This is an opinion piece that he wrote in the New York Post. And this is pertaining to Ben Shapiro as vice president. No. I love Ben Shapiro, but I don't want him as a vice president. Let's give him let's give Ben Shapiro the director. Let's give Ben Shapiro Pete Buttigieg's job. Let's give Ben Shapiro Director of Transportation or Secretary of Transportation. Okay, so this is pertaining to the cell phone and $3,000 or something. Okay, in 2021, early on an American historic border crisis, I wrote that the United Nations was abetting the problem by handing out debit cards and cash vouchers to aspiring illegal border crossers on their way north. One outraged group of 21 border security minded lawmakers pitched a bill that would require the United States, the UN's largest donor, to turn off the taxpayer money spigot. I'm in favor of that. And that sounds great. HR 6155 never caught fire, though in no small part because fact checks from outlets such as the AFP claimed that the UN was doing no such thing. Those fact checkers lied. The UN just released the 2024 Interagency Coordination Platform for Refugees and Migrants from Venezuela, a planning and budget document for handing out $1.6 billion in 17 Latin American countries. It confirms the UN, with the helping hands of 248 named non-governmental organizations, is indeed giving debit cards to illegal migrants funded in large part by U.S. taxpayers. Despite the R4V plan title naming Venezuelans as recipients of this aid operation, the document's fine print says this goes to all nationalities and multiple other nationalities. All nationalities and multiple other nationalities? Okay. The documents clear up any mystery about what the UN and NGOs are doing on the migrant trails and leaves no room for supposedly debunking fact checkers. In a nutshell, the UN and its advocacy partners want to spread $372 million in cash and voucher assistance and multi-purpose cash assistance to 600,000 migrants who in transit to the United States during 2024. So they're planning on distributing I just want to say this correctly so you hear it correctly. They are planning on distributing $372 million in cash and voucher assistance to over 600,000 immigrants who are in transit to the United States during 2024. The money is most often handed out, other UN documents show, as prepaid rechargeable debit cards, but also hard cash in envelopes, bank transfers, and mobile transfers the U.S. border-bound travelers can use for whatever they want. This is only one part of the much broader UN hemisphere-wide vision that aims to spend $1.6 billion in assisting about 3 million people in 17 countries who immigrated from home nations. The UN report predicts northern migration will continue to increase in 2024. It blames xenophobia in Venezuela for why people want to leave. Then it does finally tag the real culprit. Biden administration policies that created newly established opportunities for regular pathways to move to the United States of America. The only expression of apparent concern about supporting people clearly intending to break into the U.S. law shows up on a page depicting a map with a thin red line of migration route leading to the U.S. border at about El Paso. Someone took the trouble to add a footnote on that page noting that the map does not imply official endorsement or acceptance by the UN. Despite no official endorsement, the UN is spending big to encourage such a journey. So why hand out hundreds of millions of dollars as cash and services to hundreds of thousands planning to illegally cross that red line when those nations don't like or want it and must bear the political controversies of it? That's a good question. to support access to asylum procedures, migratory regulation activities, and socioeconomic integration. The Money Handout program has taken on an increasing importance, it explains elsewhere, because it gives growing numbers of immigrants the flexibility to cover their expenses and needs they deem most urgent, increasing their dignity and autonomy. Over the past 3 years, I have visited UN way stations featuring long lines of US bound immigrants applying for aid to clipboard wielding workers handing out cash cards and other goodies. From Reynosa to Monterrey to north of Mexico to Tapachula in the far south. The RV4 plan calls for divvying out most of the cash equivalents, and vouchers to migrating immigrants in Colombia and Ecuador. The plan calls for 24 NGO partners to give money to 95,000 in Colombia and 59,000 in Mexico. Some of the so-called transportation assistance is for local cab rides to stores or doctors' appointments. But the UN agencies also know that aid will facilitate increased onward movements for 105,000 immigrants in Colombia, 25,000 in Brazil, 13,000 in Panama, and 3,700 in Mexico, to name a few places. With the United Nations and NGOs as fronts, the United States is paying for its own border crisis. And the truth is that it can't be fact-checked away. Huh. I don't know if anyone watches Joe Rogan. There was this segment on Joe Rogan. Obviously, this is coming from them, so I personally don't know if it's true. But Joe was saying that he was listening to this Mexican radio station out of Southern California. And one guy was calling in and essentially saying that he was frauding the US by continuously coming over the border. So he would come over the border, get $2,000, and then he would go back over the border and come over again and get $2,000. Anyway, he was claiming on this radio show, he was claiming that he got about $8,000 out of the whole thing. And I believe it because, well, you would say to yourself, if they already have his name, how is he getting money? Well, a lot of people discard their documents, and you can very easily give someone a fake name if you're discarding your documents at the border. If you go along the border wall, you'll see passports, IDs from all kinds of different countries. And the reason people discard those, well, one, they could be escaping criminal charges, but two, it's much harder to deport them if you don't know where to deport them to. If you don't know where they're from and they're giving you fake information, it's a lot more difficult to deport them. I think what they should do, I hope that whoever is collecting those, because I've seen sheriffs go and collect those, I hope they're saving them somewhere and maybe putting them in a database. So that way when they can be deported, maybe they can find their documentation and figure out where the heck it is they're supposed to go. Okay, I'm getting ready to head off in a minute, but I haven't even listened to this yet, but I actually think you'll like it. It just popped up. This Democrat, Dean Phillips, my party is completely delusional right now. Let's see what he says. Let's see if we agree with him or not. This could go either way. I don't know. I don't know.
Is completely delusional right now. We have a crisis of participation. And I got to tell you guys, I went to a Donald Trump rally a couple nights ago. Never been to one. I had an event across the street. I saw the line of people waiting in the cold for hours. And I thought, what the heck? You know, I'm going to be a leader who actually invites people, doesn't condemn them. Met probably 50 Trump people waiting in line. Every single one of them, thoughtful, hospitable, friendly. All of them so frustrated that they feel nobody's listening to them but Donald Trump. a diverse crowd, people who had never been to a Trump event before. My party is completely delusional right now. We have a crisis of participation. And I got to tell you guys,
I think he's running for something. Okay, so he's the member of Foreign Affairs. He's right, they're delusional. And I think it was Jamie Dimon who was like, this whole MAGA, they need to stop. The whole MAGA thing is hurting Republicans. And wait, I think we watch this together. Let's watch it. It's almost worth watching again. We'll do this before I go.
That are planning to vote for Trump.
So this is Michael Moore, who, by the way, had a serious case of Trump derangement syndrome just a few years ago. And he recently said this. He's essentially saying what this guy is saying. The Democrats they're not seeing why people like Donald Trump, and they're just writing these people off without realizing why it is that they like him so much.
And they don't necessarily like him that much. And they don't necessarily agree with him. They're not racist and rednecks, they're actually pretty decent people. And so I wanted to sort of, after talking to a number of them, I wanted to write this. And Donald Trump came to the Detroit Economic Club and stood there in front of the Ford Motor executives and said, if you close these factories as you're planning to do in Detroit and build them in Mexico, I'm going to put a 35% tariff on those cars when you send them back, and nobody's going to buy them. It was an amazing thing to see. No politician, Republican or Democrat, had ever said anything like that to these executives. And it was music to the ears of people in Michigan and Ohio and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, the Brexit states. You live here in Ohio, you know what I'm talking about. Whether Trump means it or not is kind of irrelevant, because he's saying the things to people who are hurting. And it's why every beaten down, nameless, forgotten working stiff who used to be part of what was called the middle class loves Trump. He is the human Molotov cocktail that they've been waiting for. The human hand grenade that they can legally throw into the system that stole their lives from them. And on November 8th, Election Day, although they lost their jobs, although they've been foreclosed on by the bank, next came the divorce, and now the wife and kids are gone. The car's been repoed. They haven't had a real vacation in years. They're stuck with the shitty Obamacare bronze plan where you can't even get a fucking Percocet. They've essentially lost everything they had, except one thing. The one thing that doesn't cost them a cent and is guaranteed to them by the American Constitution, the right to vote. They might be penniless, they might be homeless, they might be fucked over and fucked up. It doesn't matter, because it's equalized on that day. A millionaire has the same number of votes as the person without a job. One. And there's more of the former middle class than there are in the millionaire class. So on November 8th, the dispossessed will walk into the voting booth, be handed a ballot, close the curtain, and take that lever, or felt pen or touchscreen, and put a big fucking X in the box by the name of the man who has threatened to upend and overturn the very system that has ruined their lives. Donald J. Trump. They see that the elites who ruined their lives hate Trump. Corporate America hates Trump. Wall Street hates Trump. The career politicians hate Trump. The media hates Trump after they loved him and created him, and now hate him. Thank you, media. The enemy of my enemy is who I'm voting for on November 8th. Yes, on November 8th, you, Joe Blow, Steve Blow, Bob Blow, Billy Bob Blow, all the blows get to go and blow up the whole goddamn system because it's your right. Trump's election is going to be the biggest fuck you ever recorded in human history. And it will feel good.
I like it. I wonder if he actually did see the light or if he's just moving with the Overton window. He's like, I'm losing the plot here. Let's go to the other side. Speaking of Trump, this was I was happy to see this video clip because I didn't like it when everyone was fighting, but after DeSantis dropped out of the race, I think they're kissing and making up. So DeSantis endorsed Trump and Trump retired Ron DeSanctimonious. This is a funny moment.
He just said, will I be...
Here we go.
Okay. He just said, will I be using the name Ron DeSanctimonious? I said, that name is officially retired.
Okay, I think that's a good place to end the stream. What do you think? There's no going back to sleep when you wake up. I hope he's truly awake. That's awesome. And it was actually really beautiful. I mean, he's a writer, so it was actually really beautiful the way that he put that and really insightful. That's what that guy was saying. You know, the guy before him, the Democrat representative, how Democrats are delusional. They just write off all these people as, you know, MAGA Republicans, the mega MAGA, super MAGA Republicans, the Trumpers, whatever. But they have actual legitimate reasons as to why they're voting for Trump. We just did a whole live stream on the reasons. Nobody wants an open border, but our leaders are like, it's secure. What are you talking about? It's great. We want more people to come in. Where are we going to put them? Anyway, thank you very much for hanging out on this Tuesday on the stream, and I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, and I will see you later. I'll be back. I will be back tomorrow. Bye, Kelly. I will be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. So I will hopefully see you there. Everyone, have a really nice day. Bye. Eva says bye, although she's sleeping. Sophia has a theory. Hurry, Sophia. What's the theory? Sophia, what is it? Don't just leave us hanging. See you then. I'll see you, Kelly. Sophia. My theory. Oh. Maybe she's typing. Eva's middle name is Sophia. Eva Sophia Maria Sansoni. Is that they want to... Are you really going to do this? Is it going to be 45? Oh, Jesus. Oh, I thought you just did that again. See ya. Make all of us Latin. Maybe. They should have... If they want to make... Actually, you know what? You know what? They should have Hilaria Baldwin lead that coalition. Hilaria Baldwin, that could be her operation. Make make all of us unified so they can rival. Well, that is, they want like a one world order. China. All right, bye everybody. Okay, bye. I'm leaving now. Thank you for your theory. See you later. Bye, guys.